Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is my review of the Deadpool Wolverine movie. Um, it was a great movie. Okay, I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm just going to get into it. This is going to be spoiler free because I don't really want to spoil such a great movie. So if you're worried about spoilers, don't worry. I'm not going to spoil anything. But I am going to mention, things that were in the trailers that that I can say. Okay, so I'm going to break it down in terms of the Wolverine and Deadpool and how they interact and stuff. Really great chemistry. You can sense that they, these two are having fun making this movie. Just totally cool. And they really do play up their love-hate relationship. That is, you can see that in the trailers, but you can see it really in the movie. Just a really cool dynamic between the two of them. And if you've seen the trailers, there are lots of Deadpools in this movie. Really, really cool. Yeah, I wish I could say more about that, but definitely they do play up the multiverse, and Deadpool is Marvel's Jesus at the end at the end of it all. He's definitely a very cool character for saving the Marvel franchise. This movie really does a good job of fixing a lot of the problems that the MCU has been facing. And, it didn't shy away from being gory. It didn't shy away from being bloody. It didn't shy away from being over the top. Didn't shy away from being graphic in a whole bunch of ways. But it at the same time, it did balance it out. Like, like when you see these scenes, it's like, actually, it's somehow like it's almost comedic. I don't know. It's weird how that works. So it did find a balance where it wasn't 100% Disney, like where it was like, Bambi running past you or something like that. It was not Disney, but it wasn't over the top gore where you're just like, oh my goodness, this is like horrendous. However, there was a fine balance, and you'd think it could have gone either way. Actually, it was interesting how they found that balance. Definitely not one that you would take somebody that's squeamish to. No, I wouldn't say that. But definitely they did do a good job of being fun in terms of like just fighting and sheer like just chaotic violence. I guess that's the best way to describe it. This movie didn't hold any punches either. Like it made fun of a lot of the things that were going on in the current MCU. And it brought back a lot of member berries at the same time. So it's like very cool that they struck that balance as well, where in a lot of recent movies they almost play member berries, which is like sort of this idea of you show something that, oh, I remember when, and you have sort of that nostalgia for whatever it was. And then at the same time, the movies nowadays have been sort of killing that nostalgia, making you almost hate your own childhood. Well, this one played the nostalgia well, and it didn't kind of beat you over the head with it, but it was there everywhere. It was interesting how they did that. Like, normally you'd say, there was certain scenes where nostalgia was full display, and people were going, whoa, and people actually, there was a point where a couple of the people around me actually almost got out of their chairs and applauded. They were applauding, but they I could see them like get up, and they were like, oh wait, I gotta calm down. It was that cool. Like there was so many cool scenes like that where people were like, wow, this is so cool. Very, very awesome movie. it's really hard to do a non-spoiler video where you can get into all the elements without spoiling it. So I'm gonna get into the acting. Acting was awesome. All the cameos were awesome. There were lots of cameos. There's a lot of surprises. Characters that you wouldn't have expected to be in this. That I don't know how they kept them secret. It was really good. A lot of fourth wall breaking. Deadpool, he was playing it up. He was playing up the fourth wall stuff. He's talking to the camera a lot, talking to the audience, and it was very interesting. The other thing that's if you're looking for like a really like profound story, this was not the movie for you. This was a very simple story, but it was one where you get a very satisfying ending and a very satisfying, just satisfying entertainment value. This is a popcorn movie. This is not like Shakespeare. This is like, you get what you get with Ryan Reynolds. But very cool. It was very interesting. The other thing with it is the bad guy. We kind of get the bad guy from the trailers. It's the Xavier's twin, and she's awesome. Actually, I was really impressed by her. She's wafy and looks like a total wimp, but despite that, you actually felt some gravitas there. It's the weirdest thing. Normally you see these wimpy girls in movies nowadays, and you're like, oh, I got to really suspend my disbelief to be afraid of them. She managed to be actually a pretty awesome presence where you thought, oh, she's actually pretty badass. I was really impressed. Very well done. I really liked her actually in the story. You just really like, she really levels up the stakes that you feel like, oh man, how are they going to get around? Like, how can they defeat her? Very, very cool. I was like, whoa, it's like so cool. That's a rare thing nowadays. The other thing that they sort of touched on, and this is not a spoiler, but they touched on it, is the idea that lately when we see these movies, and the worst one was maybe Black Panther 2, where everybody was doing stuff that was self-motivated, like interest. They weren't trying to save the world. They were trying to save themselves, or they were trying to do something that would only benefit them. And that lack of moral judgment or lack of heroic morals was really killing the MCU lately. You really feel like, oh man, these heroes are not heroic. This one, it kind of goes through that hero's journey a bit, where you get to see that that is something that Ryan Reynolds, I think, was aware of. And Deadpool goes through that, and he wants to be the heroic guy. So it is cool that way, that they fix that lack of moral compass that the other MCU movies had. But they actually, they kept Deadpool as Deadpool. He's still very questionably morally sound guy, but ultimately is a good guy. So yeah, it's interesting how they found out these balances in the movie. It's one of those movies where there's a point in the movie, and this is not a spoiler. There's a point in the movie where he's talking to the audience again, and he says we're in the end scene, and he actually says that we're wrapping it up soon, and it's like, wow, I didn't feel like the movie had it just started for me. It just was, because it was so enthralling that you go from one scene to the next scene. It's just like, but they also let scenes sit too. It was like one of those things where it felt like things were moving really fast, but when they needed to go slow, they took the time. It was the weirdest thing, and at the same time, you feel like, oh, it's like it went by so quickly that's like, oh no, don't end. Go for another hour or two. It flew by so quickly. And it was really, really engaging. You kind of want to see more. And that's something that I've really been lacking in movies lately. Like, a lot of the movies, like, you go into it and you're like, huh, after a while, it's like, oh, okay, wrap it up, please. Just like, I can't take this anymore. But this one, you know, you wanted it to go on, and you wanted to see more. And that's something that's really been lacking in movies lately. So that's really, really makes me happy. This one, it pokes fun at a lot of the woke stuff, which used to drive me nuts in a lot of the like 2016 to 2023 era. It was just like enough already. This one, you know, poked fun at that, but at the same time was respectful to different groups. So you gotta, you know, but they did it right. You know, it's like man, don't beat people over the head with moral stuff. You know, and especially if you have bad morals yourself. This one was good. So yeah, like it's gonna rate as probably one of the best MCU movies of all time, and I don't think it's better than Endgame or Infinity War. Actually, I liked Infinity War best, but I would put this as number 3 for me. But in terms of entertainment value, you know, it's one of those ones where you almost feel like this would be up there, because this is one of those ones you'd watch over and over again, and you'd watch it and see like little things. There's so many little things and they didn't linger on them. They didn't, like, as I said, there's member berries, but they didn't like say, oh, look, here's the member berry, whack it over your head. There was so many little things that they sprinkled in that if you blinked, you missed it. There was like, you know, the one that I think was they've already mentioned in the trailer, and I've heard rumors about it as well. And it was one of those things that was very, very quick on the screen. There was a scene where Deadpool crashes into a store, and you see that the sign of the store is Liefeld's footwear or something like that. It's like only feet or something like that. It's like making fun of Rob Liefeld and his ability to draw feet very well. You know, so just things like that. There was like so many things like that, like little sprinkles here and there that if you blinked, you missed them. So it's one of those movies where you'd want to rewatch it a few times and maybe catch a few more of these little Easter eggs that they pop in there. Really well done. One of those movies you will want to watch more than once, just because it's like, it's one of those movies that I think people will be like, oh, if I'm feeling down, pop that movie in and I'll, you know, cheer you up, because it's such a like fun, crazy movie. It's just like really exciting. So that's my overall impression of the movie. I hope this avoided the spoilers, but at the same time maybe inspired you guys to watch the movie. I'm sure that everyone who is a comic book fan will want to see this movie. It is a bit over the top, so beware of that. But it is a fun movie at the end of the day, and that's what we need nowadays, more of fun movies. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Deadpool Wolverine movie. It was quite great. So bye for now.